I'm Ashton Addison from EventChain for Investment Pitch Media in the Crypto Coin Show. And today on Blockchain Interviews, we have George Connelly, the President and CEO of OneLedger. George, welcome to the show, and thanks for taking the time to be here today.
Thank you for having me, Ashton. It's a pleasure.
I'm really excited for our discussion on OneLedger, and I'd love to just kick it off by getting a high-level overview of OneLedger and some of the problems that your team is solving for right now.
Okay, so thanks for that question. OneLedger has as its main purpose to provide what we call a single source of truth. And the purpose behind that is to help businesses, governments, solve the most complex and important challenges using blockchain and other disruptive technologies. So there are common set of problems that plague most enterprise entities. And we've looked at that and we've set up to try to solve them. So because blockchain offers near real-time settlement, it enables enterprises to actually plug real-time settlement into their transactions, thus reducing the risk of non-payment or double booking, stuff like that. Because it's a distributed ledger, and I think we all understand that in the blockchain world, that its information is highly available and it retains a secure record of proof that the transaction has occurred. Information is irreversible or immutable, and the accountants were always happy to hear this, where there's a single record for every single transaction ever made on the blockchain, and this prevents items from being changed and everything is tracked. So that's why we get our byline, a single source of truth from, actually.
Very cool.
And then obviously it's censorship resistant. So the economic rules that we built into our blockchain provide monetary incentives for independent participants to continue validating on new blocks. So this means that the blockchain continues to grow even without an owner. And with this, we offer two things. We offer bespoke solutions, and we offer commercial off-the-shelf applications as well that support several of the best use cases for optimization of the blockchain, like supply chain, financial management, asset management, KYC. And one of the products that we're very excited about is our digital health passport, which is a blockchain-based health evidence system. And this is used to certify health status globally. We use it primarily for use cases related to COVID mitigation risk. So that's what we're trying to do at the outset.
Definitely, and that's great to hear. I didn't know you were also working on a health passport, and I'd love to dive into that a little bit later here. And just to move a little bit forward to the next step about the enterprise services, I know OneLedger is focused on blockchain as a service, BaaS instead of SaaS, with a focus on blockchain interoperability. Could you elaborate on the blockchain as a service model, and why is it advantageous for enterprises and makes it easier for them to just work with the technology?
Okay, so interoperability is, I think, the core of everything that we're trying to achieve with technology. If you look at IoT and how that works, the same principle applies. The only way it works and works well is if there's interoperability. One of the things that we have done with our platform is that we can deliver either public permissionless platforms, or we can have private permission platforms. So we go both ways. We've built a unique engine here. So it's not an adjunct of existing platforms like a lot of other projects have done. We've used Tendermint in our consensus. What that means with the modifications that we've made is that our application is one of the fastest around. And we've modified the performance so that it's absolutely stellar. So we've got an open modular architecture, and it uses plug and play components. And this all lends to the interoperability that we have. And with side chains and cross chains, you can do a lot more in terms of interoperability. And we can also add API applications, and we can add widgets like we do for our wallet, etc., that offers a robust, interoperable platform that allows basically anyone to be able to use our platform as standalone, or we can support enterprise applications. So that's where interoperability is a key for us with the enterprise market.
Definitely, George. And I recently spoke to the Tendermint team about the release of the IBC Inter-Blockchain Communication Protocol, and it seems like that is going to be the standard for, connecting all these blockchains together. And yeah, so I'm glad that OneLedger is a part of that, because that really seems like that's where we're moving towards right now. And I was researching into the OneLedger public network, the Kratos public network, which is the latest version. And it's great to see that OneLedger is focused on enterprise private networks, but also has a public network available as well.
Yeah.
Can you just talk about what are the advantages for enterprises if you're going to be using the Kratos network versus using the private networks that you offer as well?
Okay. The public network that we currently use is used primarily for all of our digital currency-based transactions. So obviously, it's an open network. You get access through setup, and then you go on and you use the public transactions to do whatever you want to do on the exchange.
Mm-hmm.
What we see in the future, however, is that private blockchain era on enterprise is going to come to an end, or is rather going to be reduced, as enterprises understand the value of public blockchains going forward. And the thing about it is that blockchains thrive as network systems. Now, what we've seen is that we've seen Ethereum, Bitcoin, USDT, etc., set up their blockchains in the cryptocurrency space, and they've created silos. Interoperability is what makes those things work well.
Mm-hmm.
Enterprise companies have done the same thing. And the blockchain networks that we've set up, they allow companies to manage and track their assets, to complete complex interactions across a large ecosystem. But the technology has been long overdue, and companies have transformed radically in the last 30 years. The technology hasn't really caught up that they're currently using. So today, most companies still rely on point-to-point messaging, email spreadsheets to manage their shared operations. What blockchains promise is to bring some real collaboration between companies, sharing both factual data and business logic across an ecosystem in a standardized and structured manner. And so far, we haven't seen that, because even when blockchains are set up, companies have set up their own blockchains rather than doing work on existing blockchains.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're creating more centralized versions of a decentralized platform. So it's like trying to eat soup and not having a spoon. One of the things that we want to do is that we want to be able to stop the monopolies that come with the blockchain network technologies. Mm-hmm. But there's a fear, obviously, because the more users you have, the more useful the networks become. And then what we've seen is that as they achieve a position of dominance, they tend to start aggressively extracting rents from the users. Mm. And having seen this pattern in several applications, most of the enterprise customers prefer to stick to legacy tools rather than have themselves being caught in a silo where there's a blockchain monopolist in the B2B space. Mm-hmm. But public blockchains on a whole offer a better choice for enterprise users. Mm. And the other thing, and this is where we are now starting to educate them. The biggest thing, obviously, is scalability and security, because no private company wants to have their information shared on a public network. Mm-hmm. But one of the things that we're building in the new generation public blockchain solutions is allow the public blockchains while maintaining complete data privacy. Mm. So in fact, companies can transact with each other across the blockchain without ever having to put sensitive data on the public blockchain. And we can use enterprise standard firewalls to be able to keep that sensitive data quiet. So for example, a procurement contract between a buyer and a seller and a finance company, the parties use a blockchain in order to identify each other and negotiate smart contracts agreed, but then the contracts themselves are stored in a readable format behind each enterprise firewall. And that is where you have a hybrid situation, public networks, but still having the privacy and security of your information. And that's one of the things that we plan to educate on going forward in terms of how that technology is used.
Well said, George. And I'm excited to see that transition of enterprises more moving into the public networks like Kratos, because right now it seems that with a private network, some of the decentralized blockchain people are saying, well, it's not really decentralized and it doesn't have that same intercommunication protocol. It's more like an internet rather than an internet. There's a lot more value in having an internet where we're all on the same network. So I'm excited to see how that plays out. Now,
Absolutely.
I also saw, I also saw that you have the OneLedger Wallet, and there's also an identity play in the wallet as well. I wonder if you could touch on the importance of the identity platform, as it seems a lot of blockchain projects are missing that piece.
Well, the thing about where we stand is that every transaction begins with identity. So we see the identity play as a critical thing. As we become more successful as knowledge societies, there's going to be a high value from the use of online applications. And the only way to manage online applications with integrity, and again, a single source of truth, is to facilitate the handling of secure end user services, is having identity that has deep integrity. So we've done a couple things. We've created a stable, a secure, unhackable, and a convenient platform for digital ID management. We've combined decentralized blockchain principles, identity verification, and a digital ID that can be used to act as like a digital watermark. It can be assigned to every online transaction. So your digital fingerprint, which is your digital watermark, will be used as the baseline for every transaction that you do that's of note. And our domain naming service, which is like a unique URL that sits on the wallet, is how we let that operate in our wallet platform. If a user wants to keep anonymity or pseudonymity, for instance, but there's still a unique identifier that is able to place individual A with transaction A. And that's what we're doing. And so in this, what we do is that we create secondary market for resellers where they can use the DNS. And it can work as a universal blockchain in DNS, allowing for domains on any blockchain network. Domain names will be traded for OLT on our public platform, and that's how it'll work. And then what the solution does is that it helps organizations to check the identity on every transaction. And we know this is one of the biggest problems that blockchain and crypto has with mainstream financial pools. AML, KYC, and the credibility behind the transactions. So we can do that while maintaining the disciplines and the controls that come with the blockchain. So through blockchain solutions, consumers can simply use an app for authentication instead of using traditional methods. We can have a username and password, and we have a unique password restoration. This is a 24 phrase password restoration tool. The solution will store the encrypted identity. It allows them to share that data with companies, so they control it, they manage it on their own terms. So it's GDPR compliant. And it would also facilitate all of the AML, KYC, CRS, FATCA protocols are necessary, facilitating travel, healthcare, banking, regulatory, all the compliance modalities that are currently required. So we think this is one for the future, and we're going to continue to grow.
I completely agree, George. And it's great to see that you have such a variety of different solutions for private networks, public networks, identity, wallets, the health pass. And I'm looking forward to seeing how that all plays out throughout 2021. I believe that this is going to be one of the biggest years for enterprise adoption as we continue to move forward. Now, we're running short on time, but if there are enterprises or anybody that is interested in these kind of services and to watch the community grow with OneLedger, what is the best way for them to reach out and to get involved in the community?
Well, OneLedger.io is our website. And from the website platform, you can find all of our other tools. Into the community, Twitter, all the other platforms that we're on. So you can start with the website and you can go from there. We've got a variety of applications for enterprise. We've got a variety of use cases for our digital currency as well, where we're growing. We're also looking at a DEX, which we're going to build out by Q2, and mobile wallet platform. And one of the things that we're looking at is on the developer community side, we want to build out the number of programmers and developers who build platforms on our, who build applications on our platform. So we want to drive that as well. So I hope that through programs like this, we're able to drive users to the site and then see what a fantastic product we've got out there and exploit it to its full potential.
Great. And all the best with that. I will leave the OneLedger and community links in the description box below. All the best throughout 2021 with the growth of OneLedger and all of your products. And let's follow up in the near future, George.
Thank you, Ashton. Thank you very much.